for life.
Good morning. It is Wednesday, Friends Day, March 11th, 2026. The Anti-Hero broadcast is the news entertainment broadcast for all veterans, first responders, and blue-collar Americans. This show, of course, is brought to you by GhostBed. Go to ghostbed.com/antihero. Save 10% on their already ridiculously low prices. Pillowcases, mattress toppers, cooling patented technology sheets, and their award-winning mattresses. 60,000 plus 5-star rating and reviews. In-house customer service, free shipping, or free returns if you don't like it. So free shipping's a big deal on those big-ass mattresses. So if you got to replace anything in the bedroom, go to ghostbed.com/antihero. Save 10% and tell them that we sent you. And, of course, Elevated Sounds. Go to elevatedsounds.com. Use promo code antihero15 and get 15% off your suppressor. Everything from 22s to 50 cals. You need it. They got it. It is not a hard process. Exercise your Second Amendment right. Get yourself a can. Jim will walk you through it. Jim's a great dude. He's a big supporter of ours. And if you use promo code antihero15 at checkout, you'll get 15% off your can. And
if you're a tactical athlete looking for an edge, try our moisture activated Raid tape. It's made from ultra soft blend of synthetic fibers, natural cotton, plus proudly played. I'm done. I give up. I'm done today. Proudly made in America. No, you gave me the curveball before we started because you launched the show mid-question. The black Raid tape is back in stock, so go to goontape.com. Use code antihero15 for 15% off. Raid responsibly. It's more better than stutter. Like if nobody remembers, they're like, damn, that dude's stuttering. What is he stuttering about? And then it's
most people say they want to be like Mike. Mike wants to be like Tyler.
Yeah,
at least for the ad reads.
Hey, next week they're gonna get it raw from me every day, so we'll see. We'll see what happens.
You know, what's funny is we're not on X or Facebook today.
Really?
We're only on YouTube. Yeah,
you can add it.
How? Right now, mid-show?
Yeah, if you go up to the top where it's streaming, it shows you the locations. You click on that and add and highlight those locations.
Where does it edit?
The top right, yeah, where you're streaming, and then just add those locations and then hit save, and it'll jump on there as well.
All right, let's see.
When we had there just did something weird. When we had Shadowgate, Jimmy created the wrong room, and then I went in it and used his stream. I had to do that.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, I just added him. We're good. We're live on Facebook and X now. So without further ado, what?
You're welcome.
Yeah, I know. I want to be like Mike. Hey, that dude that I said that might reach out to me just texted and said it's homeboy is going to be reaching out to you soon. So
woo. For those that don't know, make sure you stay tuned in Patreon because we're going to keep a lot of stuff in there. So we may even have an update for you after the show, maybe a Patreon live later today with some breaking information. But we have a guest today that's more important. We'll get to that Patreon stuff after the show.
And like I said, without further ado, we have Michael D'Angelo. He is a Marine, and he is a stand-up comedian. He's got a hell of a story from the origins of when he was a kid all the way up till now. It's a crazy story. He was actually on Justin's Donut Shop podcast just recently that launched, I think, like 2 days ago. Great story. Michael.
Good morning. Sorry,
good morning.
Camera, every time I look, I'm fucking just more out of frame. Sorry.
You look great, but I'm going to tell you what you look like. My old partner from the DA task force, and he tried to indict me. So I'm going to be nervous the whole time that we're in here.
You called me gay?
No, not he wasn't gay. He was just he had a last name that ended in a vowel. He had the slicked hair, and he tried to put me in fucking prison. So other than that, you look really.
You do look like you could star in a movie about a DEA task force guy that's like deep undercover. Like,
hey man, I got the snitch scar. Come fucking cast me.
You got it all. That's what I'm saying. You got the name. Everything's there, dude. The gang's all. As my wife would say, the gang's all here. You're ready to roll.
Yeah, we're here to gang bang.
Yeah, so you are a legit go to war, go to jail type candidate, right? When I went to basic in 2007 in the Army, I was like, half my platoon was like, oh yeah, my lawyer told the judge since there's a surge to Iraq, I'll join the military. So I was around a lot of go to war, go to jail type people, and they great soldiers, dude, great soldiers. I was from suburbia, wasn't used to that life.
You got the go to war, go to jail tattoos.
Yeah, I look the part for sure. Well, you have the face scar. So.
Yeah, no, for real. It's crazy the look people get. They think like, oh, you fucking everybody sees the scar and they think it's from like, oh man, you get that in Iraq or Afghanistan. Like, no man, I went to war before I joined.
Yeah, dude, I was just from the streets, dog.
Yeah, it's crazy. My whole Marine Corps career was so like fucking chill. I'm almost ashamed of it. You know?
Well, I mean, it's hard to top that when you kick your life off with the lifestyle that you live, which we'll get into, because your story is amazing. Like, you were in the lifestyle, but you were trying to not be part of the lifestyle. It seems like at the same time, you kind of, from what it sounds like, you know, your dad would give you sound advice, like, this shit ain't cool, dude, like anything. And it kind of, like, from what I gather, I'm gonna let you tell the story, made you open your eyes, like, I might need an exit strategy from this lifestyle.
Yeah. I came online pretty early, and I, you know, when you're a kid and your parents are fucking drug addicts, you got no control over any of that shit. You just kind of ride the wave and grit your teeth and go into survival mode, which, you know, and I've been in for the last 30 years. And now I'm trying to rewire all that shit and calm down as a person. But at some point, you know, I was 17, I was like, I had a little bit of like leeway to get the fuck out of there and be like, okay, well, I can join the military at 17. Let's go now. Let's get out. And you know, the whole story is, I fucked myself just rushing to get out, but also the Marine Corps saved my fucking life for sure.
So how was your childhood growing up? What was that like?
It's fucking miserable, dude. It was awful. It was dog shit. It was so bad. I try, you know, every time I do one of these podcasts, I get done after the podcast. They're like, all right, man, thanks for coming on. Goodbye. And then I got the podcast. I'm just like, what the fuck happened to me?
I over talked again.
Yeah. Good night, guys. Man, my parents were, my dad was like successful. He was doing great, ran a construction company in Las Vegas. And my mom was the problem. She was chaos. You know, a woman can really lead a man astray. And my dad made his own fucking choices for sure. But basically, mom was a drug addict. Dad tried to help her. And somehow in all of that, having 2 kids with her and trying to run a business, he kept trying to spent more time taking care of her than he did the business, and lost his business, started doing drugs as well with her. And by the time I was 6 years old, we had lost everything. Like, just we had like a nice custom home out in the desert in Vegas, and you know, just everything that, you know, the classic successful construction company guy had, he just lost it all. We were like living in people's fucking living rooms while my dad was like cooking meth with people and shit like that. And I went to a different school every year from like kindergarten all the way up until I joined the Marine Corps. Not because I was a fucking shitty kid. My parents were just like, you know, people who do meth, they move around a lot. That's what they do. And I spent like, you know, elementary school, and by the time elementary school was like real crazy. We were fucking homeless, living in the truck. My mom kind of took off. My sister, when she turned 16, she took off as fast as she could. So it was just me and my dad for a long time, and he's still struggling with his addiction. Yet he's just, like, he lost his company, and then he still had to feed me. So he had to go back to work for the union and like tuck his tail between his legs and like figure out how the fuck to take care of me, even though he did, you know, deal with the fact that he lost everything. Yeah. And, you know, we're like living in our truck. We live at like random people's houses. My dad's like cooking meth with people. We're living in fucking random place. We do at one point in 4th grade. I'm trying to like write bits about this now, but me and my dad lived with this dude named Neil, and Neil cooked meth with my dad in his house. And me and my dad lived on his like lazy boy recliner, and in Neil's kitchen, he had a full-grown male chimp living in a fucking cage. In the kitchen, he's got a 4-bedroom house. You could have put that shit anywhere. But like, that's just one example of all the crazy, different fucking random places we lived. And
wait a second. There was a monkey.
Let's dive in. Go ahead.
A monkey living in the kitchen of a meth house.
Yeah, not even a monkey. There's like monkeys. There's like little monkeys. This is a full-grown fucking chimp in a giant cage in this dude's kitchen.
How do you think he acquired that? Like, how do you think that happened?
I don't know. When you do meth, anything is possible. I've seen tweakers do crazy shit, bro. Like,
I make memes about that. Like, that's like some shit out of like Hangover. Like, hey, there's a fucking monkey, a fucking chimpanzee in the fucking kitchen, dude.
Yeah, like how much copper wire you got to strip to get a chimp?
Holy shit! How do you feed that thing? Did he ever let it out?
I mean, when we weren't in the house, yeah, he would let it out, and he fed it. The whole house just fucking stunk, bro. It was terrible. It smelled like piss and shit. Why would you keep it in the fucking kitchen, dude?
Right. You can't let it out, right? You can't let it outside, so the fucking thing's stuck.
Oh my god, it was miserable. If you got too close to the cage, that motherfucker would grab you, dude. It was bad.
Oh my goodness.
But so elementary school was like super unstable, very like sleeping on floors and shit. When I was in 5th grade, we were like living on someone's living room floor, and I remember waking up looking at the TV and 9/11 was going on, and I just woke my dad up on the floor. I was like, "Yo, fucking, someone hit the towers." He's like, "Get ready for school." I was like,
nothing stopped it.
Yeah,
he's like, "You're going to school, motherfucker." So by middle school, we kind of started getting like apartments and stuff, but we'd get evicted. At this point, my dad kept letting my mom kind of come back into our life. And every time she'd come back, she'd do crazy bitch shit and just like fucking get us evicted from a place or like freak out, steal shit from us, fight my dad. My sister would come back. My mom, my sister would be at each other's throats, fucking stealing each other's drugs. Just classic fucking dope doer bullshit. And this whole time, like, I'm witnessing all this shit. And I don't know if I was like, maybe I got like some sort of, I don't know, neurodivergent thing that I was just born with, but like witnessing all this shit certainly didn't help because I was like constantly like hyper aware. I didn't grow up super early. Like I've been doing my own laundry since I was fucking 6 years old, you know? So
yeah.
By the time I got into middle school and I didn't have to like, you know, I was old enough to not like have to be around my parents all the time. I had a little bit of my own agency. I was immediately out in the streets all day, all night. As soon as I woke up, I would just, it would go to school. And then when I got off school, I was just outside all fucking night. And I would come home like late at night, and I was a fucking street kid in middle school, and I started to find like community, and I found like the other fucking street kids, and I kind of started to find my group. I grew up all over, we moved all over Vegas, but right around middle school, we kind of started, I stayed in like a couple certain areas, and I started to find like a main group of friends, and they were fucked up kids too. They were wild. They were crazy. And the difference between the way I explain is like I always, because I had witnessed so much chaos and bullshit, I always kind of like sought out, or I guess hoped for one day like structure and control. I was like, yeah, I can't wait to like fucking get a job and earn money and be able to like have financial security and stability in my own clean home and my car. And like I wanted like a normal life. And the kids I hung out with all wanted to be like fucking gangbangers. They wanted to be like, they thought going to jail was cool and all that shit. And when we were in middle school, it wasn't so much that. It was more of like small time shit, you know, getting into fights with each other, breaking windows and fucking starting fires, stealing from the grocery store, little dumb poor kid shit.
Arson.
Do what?
It's an arson, just small time shit.
Yeah, little fires, small fires, you know, nothing too big. You know, in an apartment, that's the great thing about starting fires in an apartment complex. There's fire extinguishers everywhere, so you're good.
Oh shit!
Oh, dude, that was like, that is a scene out of every other day. Like, fuck, go get the extinguisher. We're going to start keeping them on standby.
Yeah, we used that one yesterday. We got to go run and get the other one.
Why the fuck are they all empty? Yeah. And then, middle school kind of escalated into, you know, getting to high school. And the stakes started getting higher where, like, when I turned 15, like I was always working with my dad since I was like real little. He had to bring me with him to a lot of like construction sites and shit. And so I've been like working since I was like 10 years old on like random shit with him. But the day I turned 15 and a half, you're allowed to go get a work permit in Vegas and go get like a real job on a W-2. So I went down to the family courts, got my work permit, and I got a job at fucking Papa John's, like day one of being old enough to do it. I got a job there. I saved every fucking check and bought my first car. And all my friends, like, nobody wanted a job. They started stealing cars. Everything kind of just went up another degree. They started selling, like, weed. They would start, you know, getting into fights with, like, grown men and shit. And just, like, worse things for them. And I was always with them because I never wanted to be at home. And I was looking for, I didn't have any brothers, you know, so I was looking for that camaraderie. I was looking for that connection. And, you know, I was also a little bit of an adrenaline junkie too, being around it. You know, it's exciting. You're just a wild kid out in the streets. And to witness it and be near it and talking shit and having fun. You know, I don't have to steal a car to enjoy the excitement. You know, I can just be in the passenger seat, be in the back seat. It's fun.
Hey, bro,
And,
you should steal that car.
yeah, you should steal it. And it became this thing where I noted my dad was always in and out of jail all the time, and my mom actually went to prison for a little while. But it became this thing where I was starting to notice that my friends were. It went from like, oh, we're just kids fucking around having fun, to being like, oh, some of these guys are fucking idiots. Like, these guys are like truly fucking stupid. And it became really clear to me when we would get like stopped by the police, because by the time we were coming out of middle school into high school, we like rolled around in big groups. We would walk in like groups of 5 or 10. There was just a lot of us hanging around at once. And the cops constantly stopped us. They would constantly roll up on us, handcuff all of us, take pictures of us for gang unit and shit, and like, you know, get a profile on all of us. And then when we were like doing dumb shit and we got caught up, my friends would like talk shit to the police, like just like the police ain't the police, dog. Like, what are you doing? Like, I watched my dad get like fucked up by the police. I've gotten manhandled by the police before. My buddy, my dad was always very clear with me. He's like, it's fucking yes sir, no sir. When you talk to a cop, they can do whatever they want. You know, like this was nowadays. I think it's a little different. I think it's a little harder to still be a shitty person anywhere in place in life. But I don't know. Back in like early 2000s, the 90s, it was a different conversation when it came to. Nowadays, everybody's like, you know, these fucking, what do they call them? They're constitutional stops or whatever. They start like, I don't consent to, bro, what are you talking about, bro? Like fucking 20 years ago, the cop would have drug you out of your fucking car. Yeah. But anyways, my friends did not subscribe to that at all. They were very like anti-fuck you, authoritative figures. And they would start getting like their asses whipped by cops and getting sent to juvenile hall, and I always got let go. I was like, yes sir, no sir, fucking, and I didn't carry drugs on me. I didn't carry weapons on me, no shit like that. And high school, it started getting scarier. You know, they elevated from like selling weed to like guys started selling fucking meth and coke.
Did you ever dabble in narcotics at all?
No. Dude, I smoke weed. I eat mushrooms, and I actually quit smoking weed last year. But no, I watched my parents destroy themselves with that shit. Yeah. So I've never touched any of that shit. I got an addictive personality. I don't no pills, no pain pills, no sleeping pills, none of that shit for me, man. I just lay awake at night and scream, you know, like you're supposed to do.
Yeah, and you said something like the moving schools every year, as menial as that sounds to a fucking kid growing up, that I would imagine is the biggest part of no structure, is a new school every year. And I get it, military brats have to do it, but to have to move schools every single year, and I guarantee, well, I can't say again, I would imagine that killed your dad, having to move schools every year. You can't make solid friends, you know. And that really, I think, is a detriment growing up to kids, is that right there.
Yeah, it was rough, and it was one thing to like move schools, but like particularly in elementary school, we were so fucking homeless that I had all the things that I owned in my backpack every day when I went to school.
Oh,
I didn't know where we were going next. You know, that kind of like instability, you know, and it just became like this mode of like, now I it's funny, just in this last like few months of my life, I've really been dealing with my own anxiety and shit, and trying to figure out how to manage what the fuck's going on in my head that gets me so worked up all the time when I don't need to be worked up. And a lot of it is like from back, like seeking out, like trying to get ahead of things, because it was always reactive. Like, oh, this happened, so now we're dealing with it. And just being a kid and watching adults constantly make mistakes and be reactive to the world around them. Okay, now we got to do this. And a kid just being, I remember looking at adults being like, why is this happening? Why don't you guys get your shit together? And it just made me create a brain pattern in me that is like, all right, I'll prepare in this way. I'll figure it out this way. So I'm constantly like in this worry state of like, how do I get ahead of all the problems? And it just it's kind of a miserable way to live. And I'm figuring out now how to just, I'm learning, I'm getting good at it. I'm learning how to just blank out, how to just like, not like disassociate or anything like that, but just how to like not think about anything. To not be like trying to figure out how to solve like the next thing or get ahead of something. Like, no, man, just kind of, some shit can just happen and you can figure out when you get
Isn't
there.
it nice people actually have that ability? I have a friend that has like no reaction to anything for his whole life. And I just look, he's like, dude, just forget about it. I'm like, forget about it. Like, the fuck do you mean? Like something happens. I'm like, he's like, dude, just forget about it. I'm like, how do you forget? He's like, I just forget about it. I'm like, well, I wish I had that. I wish I had that drug to forget
Yeah.
about it. Like I get what you're saying. Like that constant, like you came from nothing. You don't want to ever be nothing. I'm sure you try to get ahead of every problem to make sure you don't ever end up in that situation yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it can be bad. I was just talking to a buddy of mine at the Comedy Store the other night. He fucking said something to me that was like really powerful. So simple. I literally have it written on a fucking sticky note right now. He goes, "Worry is the negative form of meditation." Like to sit and worry about some shit. It's one thing to like have a problem and to think about solving it, but to like not have a problem and to make up shit and just be like, all right, well, what if this happens? Like, bro, you're focusing on like problems. That's negative meditation. And it sounds so simple, but he was like, if you feel yourself overthinking, like let that shit go, like deal with it when it happens. Whatever you're worried about, the little shit, let it happen. If you can't fix it right then, let it happen and then deal with it when it happens. Give your mind like space to just be. And it sounds so simple, and it's when you're in that fucking anxious hole, nothing's gonna get you out of it. But
yeah,
it helps me.
No, I get it, man. The anxiety thing is, I've learned to just go to fucking sleep. I'm what do you call that? Grateful that I can do that. And I used to have fucking super bad anxiety, fucking sit there and worry about everything. And then at the end of the day, I'm like, you know what? Like you just said, fuck it. If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. This is how I'm gonna handle it if it does happen.
Yeah, because it's like old adage shit, but it's like when you worry, you make it twice as bad because now you're worried about the thing that might happen, and if it happens, it's fucked. But you sitting here the whole time going, "Oh God, it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen," you're making it worse, bro. You're just making it longer. It's like it's happening now and it's gonna happen later. Fuck that.
So you're growing up, and I mean, you have a beautiful face, but you do have a scar on your face, and I'm assuming that was since it wasn't from the military service, that was probably from your time on the streets.
Yeah. So high school shit started to escalate. My friends, like, I never liked to fight. You know, people look at me and they think I'm this fucking.
Yeah, you look like you do.
people are afraid of me, man. It's been really hard. Whether it's like romantic relationships, not like women think I'm gonna hit them, but like people get like they get the wrong picture of me. You know, do I have the potential for violence? Sure, but I don't have the fucking propensity for it. Like I'm not inclined to do that shit. Like that's not. I don't. Yet when I go to sleep at night, I sit and make up fake scenarios in my head, and I get all fucking from witnessing so much violence you lay down at night, and then you just 10 minutes later you realize your heart rate's up and you're all tight thinking about beating people up and shit. Yet I don't beat people up. I don't do that shit. But as a kid in high school, things became much more violent, and I was just there for it. And because of that, I never started any fights, but I got my ass whooped a lot because I was with those guys. And for fun, like for fun. In middle school, you know, it was different because when you're a kid, it's like low stakes. You know, you're not big and strong. I was a very little kid for a long time. I was like fucking under 5'5" until the summer between sophomore and junior year. I was always a little guy, and I was just constantly getting my ass whooped. But me and my friends, we would always like fuck around and box and slap box and shit like that, and it was cool. But when they started like getting into fights with like grown men and shit, and guys started getting like badly fucked up and injured, and guys started carrying guns and all that, I started to like, then it would become like this fearful thing. A fight would kick off and it wasn't like this, oh, like, whoa, what's going to happen? Oh shit, it's chaos. And it was more of like, fuck, like I would get like really like fearful and
yeah, and that reality is coming, you know, now it's 2026 and everything's recorded, especially every single fight. And I've seen 2 or 3 clips where just regular street fights ended in fucking death because somebody came up with a gun and shot someone to death over a fight, which is what you're saying has always been the case. But now we're getting to see on the internet, especially Instagram, before Instagram realizes that somebody being murdered, it's right there. A couple dudes fighting, or even just like the whole, it makes me really uncomfortable. You know, you've been in fights. Street fighting there's unsaid rules. When someone's unconscious, they're done. They're done. Kicking someone in the head, and now there's just no fucking rules, dude. Someone gets knocked unconscious, and then people are coming up and fucking skull kicking them. And I'm like, man, that's attempted murder, dude. You can't do that. That's a whole other ball game. And so now I get it when people are like, well, we got to bring guns just in case my buddy gets his head fucking kicked in. And it's nuts. So what you're saying is street fights as teenagers start to develop way worse.
The stakes started getting higher, and like people getting jumped and shit like that. And it got to the point where it wasn't this like exciting thing anymore, fucking around with your friends, getting into little scraps. And it was more of like, it was weird. I could feel it right around freshman year. Like fights used to be like chaotic and loud and crazy. And there was like this silence that would fall over a fight, where it would be like, you just like hyper aware, looking for someone to pull out a gun or a knife, or when is it going to turn into a brawl? Like when are their friends going to show up and jump in? And in my sophomore, so 4th of July, 2007, the summer of my sophomore year, like right as I was getting my growth spurt, one night is 4th of July. We're hanging out, talking shit, drinking beer, smoking weed. We're hanging out in this apartment complex, and my buddies, again, just like chaotic guys, always looking for action. They're getting drunk. They're fucking around, and one of my buddies is like in the street next to the apartment complex, and he's out in the street kind of walking around, fireworks going off, and he's a little drunk, he's riled up, and this truck drives by, and then there's like loud fucking bump music playing, and the truck slows down and the passenger rolls the window down and starts talking to my buddy, and my buddy's like talking, it starts like getting heated, and the passenger gets out, and it's like a grown adult and starts fighting with my buddy. And then
you're a grown man, dude.
Yes, that dude got a full-size dick on him, bro. And my buddy starts fighting with this dude, and then all the doors open on this 4-door pickup truck, and like 4 or 5 guys surround my buddy and start beating on him. And I jump, I'm like sitting on this wall, and there's like 10 or 15 of us behind this wall, like kids. There's a couple of like older guys that like live in the apartments with their girlfriends. I jump over the wall thinking everybody's coming with me. And I run up the street to like get in there, like try and help my buddy. And I get up there and no one else came with me. I'm like, now me and my buddy are getting our asses whooped. And it's just
let's go, guys.
Yeah, let's go. Fucking hello. And I just start fucking getting beat on in the street, and adrenaline's up and shit. I remember getting hit in the neck and the chest. I don't remember getting hit in the face at all. But I just remember getting like ragdolled and thrown around the street and shit. And at some point, finally, someone from our group makes it up the street, and they pull a gun out. And everybody kind of like, oh shit, everybody stops. And the guy that's across from me, which was the guy that my buddy started with, his hands are up, and in his hand there's a big neon yellow handle. It's like for one of those old school cowboy straight razors that fold out. And he goes, look at your face. And I reach up and fucking put my hand in my face, and I was like, oh, fuck. And my buddies look at me. They're like, oh, fuck, dude, he got you. And I like immediately just go into shock. I'm like, I like walk up the street, and I'm like, someone call 911. There's a cell phone in my pocket the whole fucking time. And I get up the street by back up to where I had hopped the wall, and I climb the wall and jump over it. And again, like no pain or nothing, all the adrenaline and shock. My lips started going numb, but I walk into my buddy's apartment. He's got this big ass mirror in front of his sink, and his kitchen sink, and I take my hand off, and it's just fucking open. It's like right here, it's deep. I can see inside of my mouth, and I'm just like, fuck, my dad's gonna kill me, dude. And his girlfriend or his wife. Yeah, I was like, and that was this moment too, because I had been in so much, like I had so many fucking close calls, bro, like so many, whether it was like almost death or violence or going to jail or just like crazy shit. And my dad knew I was out in the streets running around chaotic, and he let me in a lot of ways. He didn't stop me from too much, and he would always tell me, he'd like, you're fucking smarter than your friends, I know you are. He's like, be careful, like don't fuck up. Be careful. Be careful. You'd always say that. Just fucking be careful. I know you're causing chaos, but be careful. And I was like, this is it. I finally got fucking caught up. And this dude's girlfriend or wife brings me a clean washcloth to put on my face. And now to this day, when I smell that like citrusy detergent, whatever that detergent was, if I'm somewhere and I smell that shit, I'm like right back there in the kitchen, man. It's wild. So the ambulance comes, paramedics, all that shit. Everybody like dispersed. So nobody knew who those guys were. Wouldn't recognize them if I saw them again. Either there's random fucking people in a truck. Everybody left. Cops show up. I get in the ambulance, blah, blah, blah. They give me 32 stitches. I felt every one of those motherfuckers. And then the next day I'm like at home with my dad and he's like, you can't fucking, you're done. You ain't hanging out with those guys anymore. And I was like, all right, yeah, okay. And I started to take it all into account, between my face and my buddies, like getting sent off to like youth camps and jail and all this shit. And guys started getting shot and I just knew, I was like, I'm going to fuck. And even though he was like, you can't hang out with them anymore. I was like, oh, I'm probably going to go hang out with those guys again, And I just knew, I was like, I don't want to go to jail, man. I don't want to go to prison. I don't want to fucking die. I'm halfway there now. So that was the summer before junior year. I start school junior year and I'm like dealing with all this, thinking about all this shit. And when they release us for winter break junior year, I go to the school, I go to the office and I get my transcripts and I go down to the community college and I sign up to take my GED and I get the results like 2 weeks later. And I take them down to the Navy recruiting office. And I was like, yeah, I want to be a Navy SEAL. And they were like, yeah, you and everybody else, bitch, get the fuck out of here. And they were like, we're not taking GEDs right now, man. You have to get on a waiting list. I was like, no, I need to go. And so the Marine Corps office right next door, I went over there. I was like, yo, man, you guys fuck with GEDs? They were like, we could work with you. We could figure some shit out.
Yeah, you're overqualified, son.
Yeah, they're like, take this breathalyzer. You pass, you're in. Yeah, and so I got my face sliced open in July of 2007, and August 2008 I joined the Marine Corps. So like a year later I joined, and I brought the paperwork to my dad because he had to sign because I joined when I was 17 and a half. And he's like, my dad was like, you sure you want to do this? Because I was never like a patriot, not a military family. My uncle was like drafted in Vietnam on my dad's side. On my mom's side, a couple of my uncles were in the Navy, but like there was never. Even looking back, sometimes I'm like, what the fuck did I do? How did I do that? Why did I do that? Especially you talk about like being kind of like growing up as a control freak and like giving up control to, the government or the military like that would just doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. Why would I do that? But it was literally a form of escape. I was just trying to get away. I was trying to get out.
Yeah. Well, and from what I hear, like me, your recruiter wasn't the most honest person to you when you signed up. Didn't tell you everything or gave you the whole, you could definitely do this. Like in theory, possibly 1 out of a million, this could happen. Kind of sold it as in like, yeah, just go do this when you get there.
Yeah. So my original contract was for like motor T. I was going to be like a mechanic or a truck driver or something. I had a $10,000 sign-on bonus. I was supposed to leave September something, but I was so like, man, I got to get the fuck out of here. I told my recruiter, I was like, hey man, if someone drops out of this delayed entry program, I'll take their spot. Like if I can leave early, I'll leave right now. The paperwork's signed. I don't need to go home and check in. I can bounce today.
I got all my stuff in my backpack.
Yeah, for real. And he goes, all right, man, we'll let you know. And sure enough, someone dropped out. He called me. He's like, yo, we got an early day. You can leave like 25 days early. I was like, perfect. Let's go. All right. And he goes, but you got to change your MOS. You won't be a truck driver. You'll be a machine gunner. I was like, that sounds cool as fuck, dude. I'm in. I was like, yeah.
They got you real good.
Machine guns, dude. Let's go. And then he goes, and you lose your sign-on bonus. I was like, I don't give a fuck about that. I don't care. I don't need that shit. I just want to join. And he goes, and you got to be a reservist. And I was like, I don't know what that is. He goes, well, so basically you'll go to school, you'll go to boot camp, you go to machine gunner school, and then you'll come back here to Las Vegas and check in with your unit at Nellis Air Force Base. And then you'll drill, on the weekends. And then, you get the annual training, and then you'll deploy when they get into rotation for deployment. I was like, so I'm gonna live in Las Vegas, like I'm not gonna go and check in with like a unit, and you're saying that I'm only doing stuff on like the weekends, like this doesn't make sense. He goes, well, you see, the reservist, this, that, and he like sugarcoated. He's like, and what you can do is you can submit your paperwork for active duty because we just want to get you in right now. You just want to join and get out of here. I was like, yeah. He goes, so when you check in with your unit, you just submit your paperwork and say, I want to be active. I don't want to be a reservist. And then you can just switch over to active duty, and then you won't have to, like, there's no downtime. I was like, oh, okay, cool. He goes, plus the unit you check in with is supposed to go to Iraq in April. So if you don't get like recycled or held back in your schooling, then you'll get to go to Iraq with them, and you can submit your paperwork to go active before you leave. So when you get back, you'll be active. Bada bing, bada boom. It's all good, buddy.
Yeah, a lot of easy paperwork submission.
It's all good, buddy. I wouldn't fuck you. Puts his dick in my ass.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, all right, cool, man, let's go. And I signed up, did it all. Go to boot camp. Go to machine gunner school. And in machine gunner school, I'm starting, like, the last couple of weeks, everybody's starting to like get their orders and find all the shit. And it's starting to hit me like, oh, I'm going back to Vegas. Like, fuck, man, I don't want to do that. And what's interesting is, so when I was in machine gunner school, they sent us home for like 4 or 5 days around like Christmas. And I came home, and the first night I was home, I went and saw those guys. I went and hung out with them, and we're hanging out in some shitty apartment complex in North Las Vegas. And a giant fucking fight breaks out. Just chaos. Just fucking people breaking bottles on each other and shit. And the cops show up, and they put everybody in handcuffs, and they're going through all our wallets. And at that time, now I have like a military ID. I got my CAC card in my wallet. And the cops pull it out, and they go, what the fuck? And they pull me off to the side. They go, you're a Marine? I go, yeah, I'm just home. I'm on leave for, Christmas from machine gunner school. I just joined. And they go, what are you doing hanging out with all these fucking idiots, dude? Like, these guys all got priors. These guys are fucking idiots. Like, you don't have any priors. Like, he goes, all these cops are Marines. He's like, what are you doing? Why are you here, bro? I was like, I used to know these guys. I just want to say hi. He goes, don't hang out with these. He's like, we are not just letting you go. We're telling you to get the fuck out of here right now and don't ever hang out with these guys again. I was like, all right, good to go. And I haven't seen any of those guys since. But
damn, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, just getting very lucky. People call it, white privilege, white privilege and shit. And sure, I'll take a little bit of that, sure, but also, like, I also made a lot of good choices in my fucking life that at the right place and right time, people see them and they reckon, whether it's speaking to law enforcement the correct way or
we talk about Marines all the time, and I really respect I don't want to call it a brotherhood, and I don't want to call it a cult, because it doesn't really, they are a brotherhood and it is kind of a cult, but like being a Marine, like those cops, they altered what they would usually do for a Marine. Like, they were all Marines. Like, they kind of like stepped out of character. Like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? And I mean, cops do that a lot for military in general. Like, especially if you're on leave, like you really want to be the cop that fucks this dude for the rest of his life? Like, no. But I just love the fucking culture of the Marine Corps. Like, fucking dudes get handcuffed by other dudes, and they're both fucking got Marine tattoos and shit,
Yeah, they're like, come on, man, what are you doing out here? Why'd you kill that hooker? Come on.
I'm gonna let you go this one time.
But put her money back in her pocket, okay? Don't take her money too.
you said, like, I know we joked the white privilege thing, but honestly, it sounds like you were smart enough to understand that being a dick wasn't probably the right answer. So it wasn't like you were a complete maniac, and they're like, well, let's help the white guy. You were smart enough to be like, I probably need some help here. I should probably be professional, or I should be nice to these guys, not be a complete asshole. Is that accurate? I mean, you weren't a dick either.
Yeah, and I also didn't fucking sell drugs. I didn't carry weapons on me. I didn't do any of that other dumb shit. And anytime I was breaking the law, I was fucking smart. I mean, call it like a control thing or maybe a self-awareness, some sort of neurodivergent. But anytime I did crazy shit as a kid, I just sat down with pen and paper first. It's like, all right, this is what we're going to do. So I was, I made some better choices. But, fast forward, these guys let me go. I have a moment where I'm like, all right, that's it. That was the sure sign. You can't do that shit. You can't hang out with these guys anymore. And I go back to machine gunner school, finish. I come home to Vegas. I check in at Nellis Air Force Base, and they go, my unit's like, all right, you have any questions? I go, yeah, so, when do we deploy? When do I, are we going to Iraq or what, dude? And they go, the company commander, all that shit, they're standing there. And at the time, so it's like nobody's there. It's like kind of the skeleton crew, and it's like I staff for the reservists. So it wasn't like I didn't get to like meet everybody in my unit. It was me and like 2 other guys checking in and some office staff and shit. And it was reserved, so like they weren't drilling it on that time when we checked in. So I'm like, where's everybody at? Like, we going to Iraq? Like, what's up? And they're like, no, man, they started their workup in November. You're not going to Iraq with them. And I was like, oh, fuck, my recruiter said. They're like, yeah, you're not going to Iraq, buddy. Deal with it. And I was like, okay, well, what about like going active? Like, because I don't want to be reserved. So how do I sign up to go active? And they go, you're not going active. I go, well, my recruiter said. And they go, no, man, you have a billet to be a reservist. You're not going to be active duty. And I was like, and I start having this moment where I'm like, wait a minute, man, what the fuck? Like, I just did all that boot camp and machine gunner school, and I had like this plan in my head. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? I thought this was gonna go down like this, and now you guys are telling me no. And I'm like, my dad's like renting a room from somebody in Vegas, and now I'm like living in this room with him back from machine gunner school, thinking I had like this career path, this life, and now I'm back. And I'm just like, what the fuck, man? What am I gonna do? And someone told me, I don't remember who, but someone was like, they lied to you. You should write a letter to your senator. And I was like, all right. And I wrote a letter to Senator Harry Reid, being like, hey, I'm a young Marine. I just came out of schooling. I was told that I was going to be able to do this, and now they're telling me this. I'm confused. I need to get out of Las Vegas. I would really like to be active duty. I'm capable. I'm healthy. I'm able-bodied. Sent the letter thinking that I'm going to get orders in the mail, like, all right, go check in with your new unit. No, that motherfucker called headquarters Marine Corps and was like, hey, we got a Marine that's saying he's being treated unfairly. And then headquarters Marine Corps called my unit and it was like, hey, you got a Marine writing letters to senators. You better figure your fucking shit out.
You gotta unfuck yourself, dude.
Yeah, and they called me in and they lit me the fuck up, dude. They were, who the fuck? What the fuck you think you were? And because they fucked up. Technically, they should have let me file paperwork to try and, get to be active duty. Technically, they could have lost the paperwork or just, denied it. But they didn't even let me submit the paperwork, so it made them like backpedal, like, oh well, no one told you? I was like, motherfucker, you were all standing in the room when they said this shit. But they were so pissed off at me for bringing heat on them, and I was like, kept pushing back of like, yo, I want to get the fuck out of here. I don't want to be here with this unit, And it just kind of put me on their shit list, and I became like, it became this thing where I was like, oh, you guys are fucking me. You fucked me. Oh, you fucked me, huh? Okay, cool. Well, I fucked back, so prepare, And I just became.
You want to fuck on me?
Yeah, because it just became this thing where I was like, I'm not afraid of any of you motherfuckers, for starters. Like, no, you guys yelling at me and all this shit. I don't give a fuck about any of that. And two, like, I wasn't like, you can't get me in trouble for anything. Like, I'm not a shitbag. Like, I know my job. I don't fuck up. I'm not a piece of shit. I'm a PT stud. Like, and being in that reserve unit, not every, the reserves get like really bad, bad reputation. And there's a lot of pieces of shit. There's a lot of shitty people in there. And the I staff are like, case in point, there's a lot of like fucking fat body old dudes that are just like power hungry or whatever, just on power trips and shit. And any chance I had to like make their life more difficult, or just like, just talk shit or add my 2 cents, I started to get in the habit of doing that. And it just put me like deeper on their shit list, And yeah, fast forward, I'm stuck in Vegas, and I would try to find as much shit as I could do on base, whether it was like literally, man, like doing funerals or going to the armory and like just trying to volunteer to clean weapons and shit in there, and like trying to go into supply and organize shit in there, spend as much time on the base as I could and like just do shit or like PT or whatever. And then I had like security job. I do what every fucking reservist does in Las Vegas. I got jobs doing fucking security, and it was kind of miserable, but I started finding like better security jobs in Vegas, and got like a valet job at the Mirage. I was making like crazy money doing that. And I was so like hungry to be like a good Marine and like be fucking strong and be good machine gunner and always be able to like have this endurance to just be a badass. You know, I got like heavy into fitness and smoking myself. And I started kind of like a fitness endurance training company where I bought all this like fucking crazy gear, and I would go to parks and set up fucking courses and shit and let people run through them. And like, you know, whether people were just training for stuff, people want to get in shape, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, that was kind of how I dealt with what the position I was in. I just went to work, started working a lot, and I was just pissed off at the Marine Corps. And eventually, you know, I got to leave country a couple times. I went to Southeast Asia and Central America, and it was beautiful. It was a lot of fun. But in the downtime, I was like in Vegas trying to figure out my life because I didn't end up in the fleet like I thought I was going to end up.
Man, that's crazy. So did you ever go active at all?
Yeah, well, when you deploy, you activate. No, they didn't. They never let you go active and that shit. It just became this thing where, yeah, the I&I staff there, I cannot say enough unkind things about them. They fucked me so hard, and not just me, plenty of Marines in my unit. Like, if you wanted to go to like a school, you wanted to go to like marksmanship school, or I tried to go back to machine gun leaders course so I could like, you know, just go back to Pendleton and train and you know, learn more shit or whatever and be more high speed and shit. They would like sign you up for all this shit. Okay, let's get your packet together and we'll do all this. And then like a week before we were supposed to go, they'd be like, you didn't get your blood work in time. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Even the corpsman was like, you don't need to do blood workup for that kind of shit. Like, these guys are like, it was like very clear. Like, these guys are fucking terrible at their job. They're fucking you. They would like siphon off money and shit for like, take like fucking ski trips with the I&I staff and just bullshit like that. And it was fucking, they pissed me off really bad. And I got lucky eventually, you know, I did get to like do a really cool, like nice deployment where I went to Southeast Asia and it was amazing. I got to fucking like do real Marine shit versus like, you know, the last 30 years we've been in the fucking desert, you know, and doing desert mountain warfare, which is fine. But it's like, when I went to Southeast Asia, we got to you know, be on ship, get on fucking AAVs, push onto the beach, raid the beach, go up into the fucking jungle, like real Marine shit. And it was incredible, man. It was fucking, it was like awesome training. I love that climate, that environment. I running through the jungle with gear on your back and machine guns and shit, and sleeping in the jungle and learning how to survive in the jungle. It was I had a fucking great experience, man. That's what I said. Like, besides the fucking getting fucked over by shitty leadership, like my Marine Corps experience was like amazing. It was beautiful. Even like from the beginning, coming from where I was at, all this instability and like being poor and shit. And then I joined the Marine Corps, and in boot camp, you're getting like 3 meals a night. You're sleeping in a bed every night. It was like
jail. This is amazing.
I was like, what? How is this easier? How am I like calm? Like, this is wild. So yeah, you know, I ended up getting to do some cool stuff and fun shit, but it fucked my head up, man. It pissed me off for one, that I was like lied to and manipulated, and then for two, it fucked with my head about my own like service. Like, I felt, you know, there's it made me like shameful to even be a reservist. You know, all this bad fucking, oh, you're a reservist, you're a loser, you guys are fucking tampons or what, like, all the fucking shit people say about reservists. And I felt like, damn, dude, I didn't even get to, like, sometimes I don't even feel like I got to like be a fucking Marine the way, you know, people are Marine. People like, oh, you're a Marine. It's like, yeah, you know, I fucking joined and I got to do some cool shit, but I never made it to the fleet, man. It's like, there's like some pride shit that fucks with me in there, you know, and it pisses me off.
I know plenty of Marines that signed to go to war. My brother being one of them. My brother signed, he got infantry, and they were like, and they told him up front, and I told him don't do it, but they were like, you're going to do 2 years as Marine security forces, and you're going to be guarding nuclear bases, CONUS, for 2 years before you go to the fleet. So he got his like Lance, I don't know what the rank though. He's like E4 before. Then he had to go to the fleet with a bunch of kids and dudes that had already been to Afghanistan, and he had no combat time. And then he never got to go, and he got out. And by the time, you know, it was time, he had to make the decision to get out. The war was winding down, so they weren't even planning on going. And I know another Marine that infantry again, like did the fast take, did everything he could, and still just, and then they're like, people live with that shit. It's weird. Like, I was a Marine, but I never deployed, and I've never gotten the whole bragging thing. Like, oh, I got to go. Like, especially when you get older and you're like, the Iraq War. Like, really? Like, I went to Iraq. I was in Baghdad. I'm not trying to sound like a hippie. I swear, I do not walk around telling people I went to Iraq. Like, in 10 years, that's almost going to be like frowned upon.
Yeah, so that in hindsight, now, more perspective, hindsight 2020 on a lot of that shit, because, it's funny, my unit that I checked in with, when all those guys circled back, when they cycled in and came back from Iraq, they were like, that deployment fucking sucked, dude. There was all the action was done. They didn't get to do shit. They like heard some pop shots. They one guy got shot, but there was like nothing going on. They fucking hated it. It was miserable. So I saved myself there. And then zooming out, like even bigger picture, knowing what I know now is like my prefrontal cortex is developed now, like realizing I didn't have to kill anybody for this fucking country. Oh my God. I got buddies that got to live with that shit. And I'm just like,
well, and it's not even kill people for the country; it's kill people for Dick Cheney and the war machine. Like
right, exactly. Yeah, in the same breath, it's like having to live with the fact that this war machine could have put me in a position where I had to kill a bunch of people or whatever. And it's like, do bad guys need killing? Absolutely, you got to kill bad guys. There's no debating that. But also getting out of the military and realizing you fought for these motherfuckers to play some weird political game bullshit and just move us around like pawns. That shit, I have a weird conscience where I have a hard time like lying and just like thinking. A lot of shit weighs heavy on me, even mistakes I made just in my past in my life. And if I had to also deal with that, man, I don't know where I would be mentally. And I got buddies that struggle with that shit, and I got enough PTSD from my childhood and my sleep there, and like the little bit that I have from like weird shit in the Marine Corps is nothing compared to what it could be. You know what I mean? Like, I'm so fucking lucky.
And like kids, think about kids. Like, I think about it as being a cop in the military. What is the first question they always ask? Did you shoot anybody? Have you killed anybody? It's like, even kids, as young kids walk up to somebody in a uniform, it's like, oh, you have a gun. How many people have you killed? And it's like, bro, you're 3 years old. The fuck you have to be that? It's like, if you don't, in some world, it's like, yeah, you're only validated in that world if you did something like kill someone. I'm glad I didn't have to kill anybody. I'm the same as you. It's like, fuck it. I'm glad I didn't have to kill a soul. Like, I'm good with that. I don't know how I would have reacted. So I completely understand what you're getting at, where people will be like, well, if you didn't kill 27 guys in the GWAT, did you do anything? Like, you signed up, dude. You did what you had to do, and you can't. That's admirable.
Yeah, I look at it differently now, and it is what everybody's got their opinion, but I've moved on in my life now and doing other shit. I don't think too much. It's now, with the rapid fire tour, it's crazy how it's come full circle, and I've re-engaged myself with the military. But
that is exciting. And before we take a commercial break, I'm gonna ask you, getting ready for the stories that we're about to hear, which is young artist survival, right? Band, acting, stand-up comedy. The first years when you hear the stories, you're like, oh, you lived hell. Like when you're trying to be some form of art that's not paying you, and you have to dedicate all of your time to it, and you don't really have that much time to work because you got to dedicate all your time to something that's really not paying you. The stories are insane. And what helps you more prepare for these stories that we're about to talk about? Was it your childhood, having nothing, or was it the Marine Corps?
I think it was my childhood. It's funny. That's like a constant theme. I meet people and they, people get to know me, or, whatever you do, whether it's like excel at something or just the way you react to a situation, people go, oh man, that's because you're a Marine. It's like, no. The Marine Corps attracts people like me is what happens.
Yeah.
I grew up with a chimp in the kitchen.
Yeah, dude, I used to have a fucking chimp in the kitchen. Why do you move so fast? When you're in the kitchen, why do you move so fast like that? Is that because you're a Marine?
Grab the cup and go.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with Michael's stories as how we got into stand-up comedy and the craziness of that journey. We'll be right back.
Over a century ago in 1910, the Flexner Report, funded by John D. Rockefeller and the Carnegie Foundation, re-engineered medical education from a holistic, whole-body approach, which appropriately treated the body as an interconnected system, to a compartmentalized approach under the guise of specialized medicine. They shut down or consolidated medical schools, marginalized naturopathic, homeopathic, and chiropractic medicine, replacing them with symptom management and synthetic drugs. Allopathy is a marketing strategy rooted in fear and manipulated science. This philosophy carried into veterinary medicine, resulting in over-vaccination, unnecessary surgeries, and manufactured food, just like they did for people. They call it care, but it's predatory and based in profitability. The truth? Toxicity, compromised immunity, and chronic inflammation. They're not fate. They're engineered. And so is your power to undo them. We built 3 targeted formulas to return the body to homeostasis, for pets and people. To detox, defend, and restore. We are the correction to decades of corruption. We are vengeance.
And we're back. Michael, I forgot to tell you if you had to pee, that was the time.
Oh, that's all good.
He's just been pissing in a bottle the whole time.
Yeah, I got a piss bottle. It's sweat.
The Marine, man.
All
He's
right.
good.
So you're getting at, you're out of the Marine Corps. I know you, like you said, you did some work in security. Justin, on his show, you talked about your back being fucked up, and that was kind of like detrimental to you because fitness was kind of like, it seemed like fitness was your income at the time, personal training or something like that.
Yes, I became like a workaholic, just trying to keep myself busy and not, you know, I mean, when I fucking checked in my unit, I was still just like 18 years old. I turned 18 in boot camp. The day I became Marine was my 18th birthday. So I come home and I'm fucking still a kid. And now I'm like, I got to find work and all this shit. And I just try and keep myself busy so I don't start doing dumb shit. And I start working a lot. Like I'm working so much that I end up kind of in this weird, like, grind mindset where I'm like overworking myself between like trying to train to be like this solid fucking Marine and smoke myself, and I'm getting high on the endorphins, and just working like 3 or 4 jobs where I would like put all my shit in my car. Like I would fucking, I don't know if it's just like habit from being a kid, but I would like load up like all my like socks, underwear, fucking work uniforms, and like canned food and shit. And I would just go to work for like 2 or 3 days at a time and sleep in my car between jobs. And I would literally, my move is I would, at red lights, I would like put my car in park and go to sleep and wait for someone to honk and wake me up. Cause I was working I would do my training, my training stuff like a couple days a week at the parks. And then I would do security at night. I would do valet at the Mirage during the day. And then I was like also helping like manage a gym. I was doing a bunch of shit. And it got to the point where I was like overworking myself and definitely overtraining. I didn't know enough about like recovery and all that. You know, when you're smoking yourself in the Marine Corps, nobody's like, hey, also rest and recovery is important. You know, just like,
Don't forget to sleep and eat.
Pain is weakness leaving the body. Turns out, no, that's cartilage. And it gets to this point where I start having like little back things. I'm like, oh, you know, maybe it's just, you know, I talked to my corpsman about it. I'm like, hey, you know, I'm getting like some stuff in my back. I don't know. And he's like, oh, you just, you know, you pull a muscle, dude. You're fucking, at the time when it started to like catch up to me, I was like 22 years old. And I was like, he's like, no, man, you're good. You just, you know, just like, you know, just don't work out as hard today. You pull the muscle, take some ibuprofen. You know, and it just gets worse, starts going down into my ass cheek. Now it's like a nerve thing. And I'm like, oh, I think I pinched a nerve. And they're like, oh, we'll get you some, you know, some x-rays, some muscle relaxers. And doctors are telling me like, you know, bed rest, just don't do anything. Take 2 days off and just eat these muscle relaxers and spend some time watching TV. Just relax, you know, take some time off. And it got way fucking worse. It got so bad. And to the point where I like couldn't walk, and I'm like having muscle spasms in the middle of the night. It scared the fuck out. It freaked me out. And it got to the point where I'm dealing with like now inability to even take care of myself, let alone PT and exercise. And at this point, I had been in for about 5 years, and my unit, I talked to my corpsman. He's like, listen, we can figure out a way to get you a new job or you can get out. And I was like, I'm fucking done, bro. Fuck this unit. Fuck this staff. Let me out. So they med-cept me, and I went from like, I was making a bunch of money. I got my like first apartment by myself, and I was making decent money. I was saving money. My fitness company was taking off, but now I can't do anything. And I'm like, there's a couple security jobs. A lot of security is like sitting on your ass or standing around doing nothing or just walking around. And walking was actually good for my back. That was the only thing that was kind of helping, was like just slow walks. And I didn't have any good advice from medical people. So I was like going to physical therapy. It was flaring me up, and they kept trying to get me to take pills. And now I'm at home, like freaking out, thinking like I'm going to get it. Because my dad was addicted to pain pills at this time. Like he'd worked construction for fucking 40 years. And his back's all fucked up. And I'm like, no, man, I don't want to take these pills, but I'm in pain, but I can't work. What am I supposed to do? I'm freaking out. And I got really lucky. Somebody that I did security for, one of these clients I was working for, really good dude, wealthy guy. He was like, he'd noticed I had been missing work, and he's like, what's going on, man? Where you been? And I was like, yeah, my back. And he had really bad back problems. He goes, oh, I'll send you to my guy. And I was like, dude, I'm on like TRICARE. I can't pay for that. He goes, no, I'm going to pay for it. Don't worry about it. And he sent me to his physical therapist for like a year, like twice a week, man, and paid for all of it. And it changed it still took me a couple of years to like really get back to a place where I was like confident and not like guarding every movement I did, really overworking shit. But it changed everything, man. It helped my injuries so much, just meeting the right, medical professional to help me with it. But in that process, I realized I quit a bunch of my job. I let my training company go, and I realized like, fuck, I can't work like that anymore. I can't like sleep in my truck. I can't work crazy long hours. I can't work multiple jobs. I can't work like so physically. I'm going to have to find like a high paying job where I'm like just not physically exerting myself in that way. It's like, I'm going to have to get into sales or something, some white collar stuff. And I didn't know how to like really talk to people in a professional sales setting. It's like, man, I got to figure out how to do that. Like I got to get out of this comfort zone of like being nervous to speak in like a professional setting like that. And I've always had like notebooks of crazy shit, that whether it's like bar jokes or like silly shit or weird ideas or just crazy stories. It's like, I should take one of my notebooks to an open mic and go do like a comedy open mic and like work on talking in front of people, get over these fucking nerves. And I signed up for this little shitty dive bar open mic in Vegas at a bar called Meatheads, a little Detroit Lions bar. And I went up, and it's crazy. Like my life, I've had some very scary experiences up until that point, and I'd never been so scared, never had such an adrenaline dump that I almost pissed myself. And I was so fucking scared about to go on stage. Like they tell you, like, when you're in the hole or on deck before you go up, like there's 3 comics before you, there's 2 comics, you're next. And I'm waiting, and there's like 2 more people before me. And I'm like, man, I got to piss. I go piss. I come back. They're like, all right, 1 more guy than you. And I'm watching it. I'm like, I got to piss again. I go piss. I come back, and they're like, all right, fucking, he's about to get off stage in 1 minute. I'm like, damn, why do I feel like I got to piss again? And my heart rate's all up. I feel like I'm about to get into a fight. My adrenaline's like pushing, dumping cortisol, all this shit. And then I get up on stage, and as I'm coming on stage, like I don't outright piss myself, but I can feel myself pissing in my pants a little bit. I'm like, yo, dude, I've been jumped in the street, bro. I've never lost bowel control, dude, ever. And I go up, and I didn't have this like amazing crusher set. Oh my God, I'm so good at this. I'm going to be a comedian. It was just like fun, man. I got off stage, and I was like, wow, that was legal. That was free. I'm not in trouble. Nobody got hurt.
Yeah.
What an adrenaline run. That was cool, man. That was fun. And I got some laughs. So I was like, oh, I want to keep doing this, And I ended up getting into sales and made some okay money, and did like the open mic scene in Vegas, fucking around, having fun with it. And so a couple things happened that led me to like getting into stand-up, where that pushed me into like just trying to get out of my comfort zone to talk in front of people. But then I got an opportunity to do a sales job in Chicago, and I went up there to work for a little bit. and I was living in one of the suburbs out in Naperville outside of Chicago with a family that I used to do security for. They invited me to come up and like teach me sales. They were like, we'll help you out. And I was like, I should do some comedy while I'm out here. And I went and did a couple open mics. And one of them that I did was at this little place called the Comedy Shrine in Aurora. And it's kind of like a museum to comedy, but it's also a little club, a little black box club. And it was the first time I had performed in like a club setting. Every show, everything I had ever done up until that point was in like bars that were smoky. There's TVs on. People aren't there for comedy. It's not set up. The seating's weird. It's just loud. It's shitty. And I go in and I do this set in this like black box theater. You know, it's very like everybody's facing the same way. It's dark. It's like meant for comedy. And it's mostly comics, but it's an open mic. There's a couple real people there. And I go up and I do crush. I have like this really good set. And I'm like, oh shit, this is kind of how comedy's supposed to be. Like I'm kind of good at this in the right setting. Like in a bar, it's like work, like you're fucking boxing, you know. But in like a club setting, this is good. People come to laugh. Like I'm having way more fun. This is how it's supposed to be. And it kind of reignited like, oh, I should I am good at this. Maybe I am maybe something's here. And then fast forward a few months later, I got talked into doing some sales in NorCal for solar. Solar was real big at the time, and all the money, the numbers they showed us looked so good. I was like, man, I could go make like a couple $100,000 in a few months. Like, let's go. And I get there, and then the money opportunity was good. Like the numbers were real, but they didn't have any leads for us. We had to go door knock. And I was like, fuck. And I didn't have a place to stay out there. I was just going to sleep in my car and like, you know, try and grind it out, make some money in a couple months. And it was summertime. So I'm like knocking on doors with a scar on my face. At the time, I was still shaving my head, you know, so I look like a monster trying to like, hey, can I come in your house and fucking talk to you about this?
Yeah.
Can I get you to spend a bunch of money?
911, what's your emergency?
Yeah, for real. Dude, people would call the cops on me too.
I got some Italian gangster dude at the door with a scar on his face.
Yeah, dude. And for like 2 months, I'm dealing with rejection. Like, I'm just like, come on, man, you got it. It's all right. It's going to happen. You're going to close a deal. Just keep pushing, dude. Keep pushing. And one day I'm like sitting in the front seat of my car. It's hot. I'm getting doors slammed in my face. Just rejection all day. I'm eating canned ravioli and Ritz crackers in my front seat.
Yeah.
Sweaty, pissed off. And I'm just like, damn, dog, like I'm good at like sacrifice. Like I know how to work hard. I should like focus on something that I actually like to do. I should take this energy and do something that I want to do. And I started thinking about stand up, and I was like, man, I think I'm going to go and like I'm going to try and do it. And I started my car up and I drove back to Vegas, and I got like a couple shitty little sales jobs. I was doing some little insurance sales stuff here and there. But I started every night. I was at open mics, doing bar shows as much as I could. I started coming to LA to take like writing classes, and I was trying to just like get better. I was like, I'm going to spend the next couple of years just trying to get good. I want to get better. And I was coming to LA once a week for like a year. I was taking classes at Second City. I was taking some writing classes. I was taking improv. I was helping a buddy produce a weekly show above a Hooters on Hollywood Boulevard, and it was like a badass show. It was like a little underground independent show, but it was like killer. We had like a system. We were barking people in off Hollywood Boulevard, getting them up to the show, and like doing this, like, it was like punk rock as fuck. It was so much fun, and it was developing me. And I would come out for like 2 days at a time. I would take classes one day, sleep in my car, and then do the show the next night. And the night where I didn't have a show, I would go sit at the Comedy Store in the back of the original room. And I would watch these guys who were like big deals now, you know, Hinchcliffe, Theo Vaughn, a lot of these guys that are like, you know, massively successful now. And I would watch them work these late night crowds, these crowds that have been sitting there for 6 hours. The crowd's tired, they're drunk, they're foreign, they've heard every fucking joke. And I'm watching these guys work. And like, I'm so obsessed with the craft. I'm like watching these guys figure shit out on stage. I was like, dog, if I want to get better, I'm going to have to move to LA. And that's what I did. At the time, I owned a condo in Vegas, and I was like, I don't want to pay my mortgage in Vegas, and I don't want to fucking also have to pay rent in LA, but I'm not going to sell my condo. And I don't want to live with 10 dudes. I've fucking been there, done that. Fuck that. I'm just going to live in my car. So I moved out to LA, and I packed up my car, like I fucking put a big thick sleeping bag down in the back seat and shit. And I moved out, man. And 4 days after I moved here, I got hired at one of the comedy clubs as a door guy. And it just became this like very exciting thing where bam, now I'm in LA and all I want to do is get better at stand-up. So I'm like doing all these open mics. I'm still helping my buddy produce the weekly show, and that show's like growing and getting better. I'm helping him like turn it into like this like really good. We became like, we would like
What kind of car did you drive?
2014 Toyota Prius.
Oh man, so you were packing in a car. You weren't like in a van that you were just calling
And what,
a car.
what do you put on your address on the application? Just outside? Like,
Yeah, down the street. No,
What's the address here?
I would use like friends' addresses in LA and shit like that.
Okay.
But yeah, I lived in that fucking Prius for 4 years.
Damn. You lived in a Prius for 4 years?
Yeah, man. Showered at the gym every morning.
Show. We could do a whole show just on that.
Dude, it was wild. It was wild.
The Prius Chronicles.
It was wild between like trying to have a romantic life and
what's a Tinder date look like in a Prius?
They come over.
You don't tell them. You don't tell them. You do not tell them. All my buddies would too. They'd be like, "Why don't you find some cougar, man, and start fucking some cougar that'll buy you a car and like put you up and let her stay there?" And I'm like, "No, man, I don't want to be at like some old bitch's whim. Like, where you at? Yeah, fuck all that, dude. I don't need that shit, dude. I'm good." So I just like, yeah, the car thing was exciting, man. Especially like the first year felt like the coolest thing I had ever done, man. I'm living in paradise. It's California, so it's beautiful out here. I'm like developing as a comic. I'm hired as a door guy at a comedy club, so I'm watching comedy every night. I'm like helping my buddy produce like the #1 underground show in LA. Like we are packing it in with real people. It's hard to find open mics in LA that have real people, and we're just like we're doing cool shit. And I'm living in the car. It's just exciting. I'm like chasing the dream, man. I would get off work at like 2 or 3 a.m. and I'd stand out on Sunset or Hollywood or Melrose, and I'd just be like, dude, I'm fucking doing it, bro. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is where I'm supposed to be. And then, mistakes are made. Like one night I got off late and I got in my car and I was like trying to brush my teeth and I opened a bottle of water and I filled my mouth and it was piss. And I was like, I don't know if this is where I'm supposed to be. Dude. I don't know if I'm doing it. It was so, there was some rough shit too. But yeah, and then the second year still like it was fucking awesome, man. It wasn't till like year 3 that my sleep was like real bad from like just being in this fucking little car and sleeping on my shoulders and my back injury. Like started like having my back get weird on me again. And COVID happens year 4. And for like, they shut everything down. And now I'm just like living in my car with nothing to do. And I went from, man, I also had like a little retail job. I was working at Burton Snowboards during the day. So like I found this flow in my life again where, at night I'm working at the Improv from like 5 p.m., 6, 7 to like 2 a.m. I get off work. I drive to Santa Monica, sleep in my car next to the gym, wake up, go to the gym at like fucking 7 or 8 a.m., go work at Burton Snowboards from like 9 to 5, get off work, sit in traffic for an hour, go back to the Improv. And nights when I wasn't working at the Improv, I'd go do shows. And then during the day, if I didn't work at Burton, I'd be at the Improv, like writing all day, smoking weed, drinking coffee, eating mushrooms, like working on jokes up in the green room and shit. So I'm just like constant like this for years and years and years and like really constantly busy and in this flow. And then the country shuts down. And for like 4 days, I'm kind of like floating around, hanging out with buddies. We're like, do a little bit of acid, and I'm like, all right. But after like a week of that, I'm like, all right, man, like, now I'm just a drug addict. Like we're not doing anything. I can't do this. I can't just sit on the couch with these fucking guys. I was like, I'm going to go back to Vegas. My sister at the time was renting a room for me in my condo. So I was like, I'm just going to go back to Vegas and like see some family and sleep in a bed. And, I'll be back. I'll come back. And I go back to Vegas. And for like the first month, I'm like, my sister's cooking for me and like, I'm sleeping in a bed every night. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm like resetting, I'm getting rest, and then like, second, third month, I'm like going out on hikes every day, just trying to get out of the house, smoking lots of weed, I'm like trying to stay busy. 4th, 5th month, I'm like starting to get like real anxious. I can't sleep. I stopped sleeping and then I kind of stopped eating. And I'm like, what happened to all this momentum I was building? Like, what's going to happen to like, did I just waste the last 4 years? Like I'm starting to fucking spiral a little bit. And because I wasn't sleeping and eating, it started to compound on me. And it got to this place where I started to have like kind of a nervous breakdown. And I went to like a friend's house one day. I was like, I just got to get out of the house. And they were having a barbecue. And I went, and she saw me, and right away she was like, "You all right? Like something up?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm just not sleeping real well." She was like, "Come over here, let me talk to you." And like she pulled me aside, and immediately I just fucking lost. It was the first time I ever had like a nervous breakdown. I just fucking started sobbing, like freaking out about my life and everything, and like what's gonna happen. And she like force fed me Klonopin and Xanax. She's like, "You gotta calm the fuck down, dude." She's like, "You're freaking out. You're being a bitch right now." She didn't say that, but she's like, "You're fucking freaking, dude." And she made me like go see her therapist the next day and all that shit. And that was the first time I ever went to therapy. And I realized like I get a lot of my sense of self-worth from like work and doing shit, which, most people were struggling with that in COVID. Like some people were baking bread, and some of us were like, "Yo, dude, I need to like do things with myself, with life." And I realized like I have to go back to work. I just have to do something. So I got a job at the Cosmopolitan in Vegas, the hotel, doing security. I was like, I just need to do something, bro. I have to wait for these clubs to open up. And then my buddy was like, my buddy that actually long time ago used to work at the Cosmo, also a comic, also living in his car from Vegas. He's living in his car in LA. And he found out I was working at the Cosmo. He goes, "What the fuck are you doing?" I was like, "I just need to do something, man." And he stayed in LA, kind of just like, doing drugs, floating around LA, didn't come back to Vegas really. And he was like, "Nah, man, clubs are open in Arizona and Texas. Fuck that. Quit that job. Let's go to Arizona. Let's go to Texas. Let's go figure it out there." And I did. So I only worked at the Cosmo for like 2 months. And I went with him, and we started like, just going on the road places we could. And by that time, the clubs did finally start to open back up. And it was very like 6 foot distance, vaccine cards, temperature guns. But the Improv opened back up. So I went back, got my job back there. I met a woman during COVID that was going to school at UNLV in Vegas. And she was like, she knows like living in my car. And she's like, "Well, I'm doing my graduate in, she's like, I'm finishing at UNLV, and then I'm going to LA. I'm going to be going to school out there. I'm going to get a place. You can come stay with me." And it was, while I was doing the first 4 years in LA, there was no girlfriend shit. There was no time for that. I was not looking for that kind of shit at all. So it was very like, I could never live with somebody or anything like that. But at this point, I met her, and she was great. It was the first time I met a chick that I had liked in a while, So I was like, "All right, fuck it. When you come out, I'll see what it's like. I'll crash with you a few nights, mainly just come over to use your shower, And she moved out, and then I started staying with her. So then I lived with her for like a couple of years, and I didn't have to live in the car anymore. And it's fucking nice, man.
All right. Where you at? Where you at?
No, yeah, she was nothing shit like that. She was great, man. But backing up a little bit, how we get into rapid fire is when I first moved to LA, I came out here trying to like develop as a comic. I wanted to grow. I wanted to get stage time in LA and work on these sophisticated crowds, just these better rooms, these club crowds.
Yeah.
But I came out here as this like Marine, this fucking kid that's got a bunch of like, my sense of humor is all crazy, be it from my childhood or the Marine Corps or whatever. And I was a barroom comic, so I was very rough around the edges. Very few. My buddy that produced that weekly show was the only one that was really developing me. It was very hard to get stage time. And I had this moment where I was like, fuck, man, I moved out here and I'm not getting, people aren't booking me. Like, what am I supposed to do? How do I develop myself? And I started thinking about like, all right, these people don't like me, but who is my crowd? Who am I supposed to be performing for? And I realized all my buddies in the Marine Corps are the ones that were like, "Yo, dude, you should do comedy. Like, if you don't try stand up, dude, you're kind of wasting your life. Like, you're crazy, bro. You say crazy shit. You're wild." I was like, fuck it. So I sent 400 letters out to Marine Corps units. Well, first I hit up like the USO tour and Armed Forces Entertainment.
Yeah, how'd that work out?
They all hit me with, they all got their good old boys club, kind of like I have mine now. I always try to bring a new comic on every show, and bring some fresh blood on. It's fun, it's exciting. But I have a group of guys that I book. I have my buddies that I have my roster.
Yeah.
They do too. So they kind of hit me with man, we're not looking for anybody right now. We'll get back to you. And the USO tour never got back to me. They don't give a fuck about, that's such a big organization. You got to like know somebody or like really get in there. So I was like, man, I'm just going to start my own thing. And I sent 400 letters out to Marine Corps units, really all over the country, but mainly Southern California, being like, "Yo, I'm a Marine. I'm a comic. I'll come perform for you guys anytime, any place. You just fucking let me know." Because I had like a mobile speaker. That was another thing I started doing. I got here and I couldn't get stage time. So I bought a little speaker and a stool, a mic stand. And I would go down to like Santa Monica and Venice, and I would just busk. I would like talk on, just talk out to people walking. So I was like, oh, I have the shit to just do a show. So I'm just gonna, I'll hit them up and I'll bring my gear. And I did the first one. Some unit hit me up, and I did. I went alone. I didn't bring any comics with me. I was like, this could be weird. It could get canceled last minute. It's a long drive. It could fucking suck. I'll just go on my own and check it out. See, just check the vibe first. And I went, and I did 45 minutes for like 250 Marines, and they treated me like I was fucking Dave Chappelle, man. They loved it. I crushed.
Awesome,
I cried. It was amazing. And I had another like aha moment where I was like, oh, this is my crowd. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is the audience I need to like connect with. This is it. And that kind of spiral, it started to turn into like, then I started bringing my buddies with me. And then we started like bringing a bunch of comics, because the format is great for like military age males with short attention spans. Instead of me trying to go, first of all, comedy is like way better when you get to go with your buddies. Like I could go do a show by myself and, have more stage time, or even if I'm on the road at a club, like, make more money to myself. But it's like, if I can bring a couple of my buddies along, the hang's better. It's a fun vibe. It's better that way. So I started bringing people out with me and sharing the stage time. And it's just, then it's also another thing is it's better for the Marines too, because it's more high energy when there's like 5 comics on the show. Everybody's doing short sets. They're doing their best stuff. They're hot. The show's tight. It's a bunch of different comics. So you get like different points of views, different type styles and all that. So I start bringing guys out, and then I create like this format that's like, it's rapid fire. I bring like 8 to 9 comics out. We're all doing 10-minute sets. It's like a 70 to 90-minute show. And it's like fast. It's high energy. It's in your face. And it became like this thing where, one, my needs are getting met. I'm getting stage time. I'm having a blast. I'm connecting with these crowds. But then like these comics I'm bringing are like having this experience where on the van ride up, they're all talking shit. It's kind of like a podcast. It's not recorded, it's like this crazy van ride. It's fun. Comics are bonding. They're meeting new comics that they wouldn't have met before, building relationships. And then we get there and we set this show up, and you watch these guys get kind of nervous. They're like, oh, fuck, like I'm about to perform for the Marines. And it kind of hits them.
There's a lot of Marines out there.
Yeah. And they get nervous, they're like, oh, well, what should I? And then they go up and they have a good set. Sometimes they crush and they weren't expecting it. And they're like, yo, dude, so I get to watch that happen with them. And that was kind of like the beginnings of it. And then I started it was so exciting and such a rush. I finally, after a bunch of, we did like, a few dozen of them. And then I start to like really see what's going on with the Marines and realize, oh yeah, it's more than just like, yeah, these guys are having fun. It's like, we are, leadership would come up to me, or Marines would come up after shows, and they'd be like, yo, dude, we thought this was going to suck. We thought this was going to be loud. Like, this was awesome.
You had nothing better to do.
Yeah, like, we thought, mandatory fun. We thought this was going to be dumb, bro. You guys rocked. Like, we needed this, man. Like, fucking, we're pissed off at the first sergeant. They've been fucking us, this, that, and the other. We've been out in the field all week. It's been miserable. Like, thank you. Like, this was awesome. And leadership coming up to me, too, and being like, yo, man, like, these fucking Marines have been like having problems all week, and like you guys brought them together. Like this was you guys did great. And them like writing letters of recommendation for us. I was like, oh, like this is bigger than just me getting stage time and having fun with my buddies. Like we are having an effect on these guys. And I realized also another thing that I never saw coming was that a lot of these guys, most of these guys have never been to comedy clubs. A lot of them, I mean, stand-up now is bigger than it's ever been. But
yeah,
a lot of these guys don't watch stand-up. They've never been to a comedy club. They've never been to a comedy show. So this is their first experience of stand-up comedy. I get to like bring them into this world for the first time. And not only that, but the Marine Corps, people come from like weird places, and they never thought they would like laugh at a gay dude, or they've never even met a trans person. Now I bring this fucking trans comic from LA who's funny as fuck, and now these Marines are laughing, and they're like, yo, like trans people are cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
hey, I'm gay. Goddamn, I'm gay.
Yeah, like like we're not so different after all kind of moments. And it's like, now I'm exposing these guys to like a culture that maybe they would have never been exposed to in a positive light, So it really developed and grew. And then in 2019, I decided, I was like, oh, I want to try and keep this as free as possible because it's so hard to get money from the fucking Marine Corps. And it just, I wanted to turn it into like a nonprofit. I was like, if I turn it into a nonprofit, I can find sponsors, and then the money that does come in, we don't have to pay taxes on it. And we got approved to be a 501c3 nonprofit a month after the country shut down. So Now I'm like, what a way to launch it. I'm calling. I made like this big spreadsheet of like 500 companies, and I'm like calling and emailing. Hey, this is who I am. This is what I've been doing. We'd like to. And everybody's like, no, dude, the world is ending. Like, you can't. We have no fucking money for you. We're closing our doors, type shit. So it was like a rough start, but you know, it's really developed into this thing where I'm working now with like Vet TV is helping me, and you know, people find us online, and they, you know, you go to the website, people donate. Just our expenses aren't very high. Like, again, I'm doing most of this fucking work for free. Every once in a while, I'll find a unit that has their shit together, and they'll have the funding and the organization to get it all approved, and they will pay us, and it's awesome. Sometimes the first time I got paid, it took them 10 months to fucking pay us, but they paid us. So sometimes there's the money comes in, but a lot of times it's people finding us and being like, oh shit, like, you guys are renting a van and filling it with gas. Like, yeah, I got some gas money for you guys. And they'll go to the website and they donate. But now it's turned into this thing where I'm like looking at my career as a stand-up and what I want to be doing, and how to develop, you know, this into something much bigger, and actually get like real money coming in, so I can pay my bills, not trying to like get rich and buy Lamborghinis and shit. If I can pay my bills and not have to, I work like people. I'm not a full-time stand-up. Like, I fucking work 3 jobs in LA. I'm using my VA benefits to go to school so I can help pay my fucking rent. And I'm trying to transition to this place where I can do shows for the military, law enforcement, first responders, all this shit. And a part of that is doing this podcast run, and like getting out and letting people know, yo, this is who we are. This is what we're doing.
Are you stuck in, like, not stuck, but are you primarily out in the West, like California and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, you know, all the main Marine Corps bases, you know, you got 29 Palms and Pendleton down here. It makes the most sense to be stationed out here for it.
Yeah, because we're trying to do the same thing, and I can agree with you. You know, we do this 5 days a week. This is nothing for us. We can sit here and do this. We go and do we want to do live events. And I've been watching how the engagement in stand-up comedy isn't really something that you see on a Netflix special. Like, when you watch a comedian work, the fucking wittiness of working with somebody. Hey, what's your name? And then you're just reacting. And if it's funny, I'm like, man, that's a skill. Like this, they just picked a person, started engaging with them, and made it hilarious. Like, that's one shot. And I was like, man, so I was telling Mike, like, we need to just go start cutting our teeth at like VFWs or something, dude. Just fucking, the first time we did it, we had some old lady just start giving it to us. And we were like, man, this is gold. Like, this is gold. Her name was, what was her name? Carolyn, Mike? Dude,
Carolyn,
she let us have it.
He hated Tyler. Oh, God.
And I was like, man, we can make clips out of this. Cause we did the same thing, dude. We bought our own PAs. We got our fucking, our little mixer that for loudspeaker. And we're like, man, but we're the same thing. We're kind of like, travel and logistics, it eats up the wallet, you know, as far as like making it worth your buck, you know. So we're trying to, but we're stuck in Florida. So I was just kind of seeing like logistically if you guys ever made it out of Cali, or if it's just right now kind of like focusing in Cali.
Yeah, so it has started to spread. I've been up to Wisconsin. I did a big show for the 9th Marine Corps District up there, and now with this podcast run, the reach has gotten bigger. Where, like, just yesterday, I was on the phone with somebody who's got a big like gun event up in Maryland, and he wants me to come out for the gun event and produce a show out there for him. So that's part of it. Is I want to get everywhere. There's no limit. People are like, oh, would you ever go overseas? Fuck yeah, dude. I had a unit in like, I'll go to the combat zones, all that shit. I don't care. But I had a unit. I actually have to email them today to follow up. They're in Italy. It's some, I think it's an army unit or something like that. But
173rd, they're airborne.
Yeah, so yeah, they're having a big gala in April for like their commander's retirement. It's like his last year with them, and he's like, dude, it'd be fucking sick if I could bring you out and you could put on a show. Like, that would be awesome. I was like, dude, let me know, bro. I'm down. Like, I want to make it work. So it's just about spreading the word. A lot of people don't know about us. You know, it's in SoCal, it's easy to be like, yo, man, if your unit can't get their shit together, we'll come out for free. Like, it's a van full of, it's a rental van and a van full of gas. There's money in the account for that. But it's like, yo, you want me to come to like North Carolina, or you want me to come to fucking Italy? Like, yeah, you guys got to get a budget together. You got to figure this shit out. And also, like, that's a part of the conversation. I was like, yo, here's the value. It's not like, hey, I have this idea. I'd like to, you guys think we could? It's like, no, I've been doing this. I'm good at it. Here's our track record. It took me a couple years to like finally get a good website together. But like our website has everything on it. You can go read about it, see the fucking letters of recommendation from all these shows, watch post-show interviews of these guys. You can donate and just learn about how everything started. It's like, go check us out and realize like there's value here. Like it's worth the market value of being like, all right, I want to pay these fucking 5 comics to come out across the country or whatever, rent a van and come out and produce this show for us. And I just want to let people know that we're here, we're out here, we can do it. And if you have like friends or family in the military, you can also go donate, help support, basically sponsor a military member. Because again, a lot of these shows are free, and that's the way I'd like to keep it. Ideally, best case scenario, my goal is to find fucking sponsors and donors so that I don't have to like negotiate with groups of higher ups and be like, yeah, this is, and this much money in it. No, I can just be like, hey man, we're coming to North Carolina on this date. Come the fuck out. Tickets are free. RSVP. This is the night. And then we just come out and put on this fucking show for them. Sponsored by XYZ, fucking suck our dick backpacks, your girlfriend's fat and ugly protein powder, whatever, shit like that. And just being able to put on free shows and do that shit full time. That's the real goal. But, most importantly, I want shows. So I'm looking for whether it's a military unit or just first responder groups that are having some sort of get together party, class, training. They want to end it with a bang. Hit me up. I want to come do shows. And then the second part is like, sponsors, donors, fucking groups that can pay. Come find us, man. Go to the website. Check us out. I'm sure you guys have all that listed in show notes. But rapidfirecomedytour.org, man. I'm trying to spread the word. That's what this fucking podcast run is about. This is the new market.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's actually a very similar. Well, if you just want to sit in a room and talk about military stuff and be boring, then there's podcasts that do that. But for what you're talking about is kind of what we're seeing is like, I don't want to just sit here in a room and talk about old shit. I want to get out and like current event. Yeah. And it's almost the same thing, like comedy / broadcasting where we, I can see in the future, man, where we would be at the same place and like we would live stream the whole show, talk to guests. You guys are on stage, you come off, you meet the crowd. We are on the internet. We're broadcasting it as well. That's kind of what we're doing. Is I feel the same way. I'd rather get out, interact with people, and get to know people out in the community, and then that spread. That's like free advertisement. Somebody meets you in person and goes, dude, this fucking guy knows he's funny, comes off stage, he talks to you, he hangs out, he drinks a beer with the boys. You got to go see him. And then he tells all his friends, and then you start a little tour.
Yeah, the 10, like, dude, this guy is cool as shit. Like, I got to shake his hand. He talked to me for like 30 minutes. Like, that blows people's minds. Like, I'm a normal dude. Like,
you're 100%, man. You're right.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, have you ever I mean, I'm sure you have the Adam Driver story, the dude from Star Wars.
I know he's a Marine. I don't know his whole story though.
He does a TED talk, man. It's really good. And he talks exactly what we talked about. He talks about how he joined for war, and then he might have been, don't quote me, he might have been medically discharged and he didn't get to, and it fucked with him so hard. He was like, I was set to be a Marine, and then he went to acting school. And I just thought, like, I was like, man, dude, like, I really wish it was like easy to get a hold of people like that. Like, cause he's embedded in Hollywood now. I guarantee you he doesn't check his phones for DMs. But then there's another one too out west, Bryson Banks.
Yeah, I know Bryson.
Yeah, I've talked to him a couple times. I think we at the time we were a little too edgy for people. People were like, dude, I love your show, but they're like, I don't know if I should be on your show, because we say some dicey stuff. But yeah, he seemed like a cool dude, and you're out in Cali, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, Bryson, he tours. He's out on the road a lot. I haven't seen him in a while, but I have to reconnect with him.
But yeah, man, I posted your link and I pinned it to rapidfirecomedytour.org if anybody wants to go on there and throw a couple bucks. It's really it's crazy because that's what we're trying to not as probably as often as you, or it's not really a huge part of our business model, but like, man, we're like organic growth. That is the way to do it. Just go meet people. Get yourself in a van, keep it as cost effective as possible, and then sling some shirts, sling some stickers.
And what I hear from you, like the way, like immediately, it's easy to tell when you're dealing with somebody who's, when I use the word real, like a good dude. Like I hear you talking about dragging dudes along, trying to get everybody on stage for 10 minutes, creating that environment. I know that resonates well with our fans because that's kind of how we are. We do the same thing. It's like, how can we help everybody in a collective way to, there's a common goal at the end. Eventually, yes, money, you have to live, you have to eat, right? But that's not first. The first is building an audience, getting out, helping other people. And that's what, listening to your whole story, I don't say much, but that's what I took from it. Like, here's a genuinely good dude who suffered his whole life, made it to a point where he's still living in a car a couple of years ago, but he's also got a mind to, like, I'm going to drag some dudes with me that have the same goal, and together we're going to get somewhere. And that's what you hear in your story. If I was going to give a synopsis, that's what I hear. A really good dude who suffered, worked really hard, did things that most people couldn't even imagine doing, like living in a Prius for 4 years. And at the end of it, still has the mind of, I'm going to drag these guys with me. We're going to stay tight, and we're going to go do this thing together, and we're going to get somewhere. That's really cool, man. I really appreciate hearing that story, and I think you're a jam up dude.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I appreciate you guys like bringing me on and giving me the opportunity to speak for your audience. It's a big deal to you guys, learn about me and trust me enough to come on and speak for you guys. These podcast platforms this is the future, man. Like, literally, maybe you guys know this or maybe you don't think about it, but you guys are the new gatekeepers. And gatekeepers like that's like kind of a negative connotation, but you guys are you are the ones that are going to really help the next generation of shakers and movers, people that are out there to hustle and being able to get on a platform like this and share stories. Before this shit, what were your options? You had to like find representation and go on a fucking talk show or get on the news or a book run or maybe get on the radio.
Get on one of those stations that are owned. Get on one of those stations that are owned by a certain group of people, and you have to know somebody.
The power structure has changed completely, and I'm so grateful for it. And it's the new model, man. That's the other thing is for these shows too. Like, the way I was getting shows every week, I still drop a letter in the mail. I'm still mailing out units, and it's like either they get a letter or someone that was at a show goes to a new unit and recommends us. That's how we get shows. But now, like, podcasts happen and people fucking, come out for my boys, shit like that. And it's easier to spread word. In fact, that's something I wanted to say. There's something I'm working on right now that I haven't done it yet, but I really want to do it. And this is a good opportunity for anybody who's listening that's stationed at Pendleton specifically. If you're in Pendleton and you're listening to this, you live at the fucking barracks, you live on base, I want to start doing weekly shows at Pendleton, really like fucking hip pocket, school circle, behind the barracks or out in the dirt field shows. Instead, because these letters go out to like platoon commanders and company commanders. You got to hope that we'll have you come out on this date for trains. Like, fuck that. I know there's guys hanging around on base on Saturdays. I want to come out, set up my speakers in a spotlight at like 8:30 p.m. and put on like a quick show for these guys, again, for free. But I need to find groups of Marines that are like, yeah, I'm on base on weekends a lot. I have a group of guys, because even if it starts out as just 4 or 5 guys, word will spread. It doesn't matter. I'll come out for just a handful of you and your buddies, bring some comics with me. It'll be fucking fun. So if you're on base, you live out on base and you're a young Marine, and you're like, yo, we just want to fucking put on a little fucking show. Hit me up. I want to come out and do that shit, and I want to start, and you can be some of the first Marines to help me get out there and do that, and really kick off weekly like barrack shows. Awesome. I want to do that. I think that
that's fucking
good shit.
That is punk rock, dude.
Yeah.
It would be so much fucking fun, and I know we could do it, and I know it would like grow into something amazing. And I just need to find the Marines that are on base that want to do it.
We'll try to get as many Marines as possible. That way, if oddly enough, if there isn't one Pendleton Marine that's here, it'll get to them. It'll get to all.
And fuck 29 Palms will come out there too. I'll make it work. I'll make it work wherever you guys are at. The thing is, if you got a group of buddies, you guys just want to fucking sit in the dark and listen to me and my friends talk about weird shit for a little bit, I'm down, man. That's all I want to do. That's all I want to do.
Hell yeah. Yeah, we'll definitely we'll put it out there. What we do is we do these, and then we make like 3 or 4 social media reels that we try to make pop out there. And that usually, honestly, Instagram reels is what, for us in particular. Our TikTok fucking is kind of lame. Doesn't really do anything. Our Facebook is growing. We're at like over 6,000 followers. We just started that like a couple months ago. And then Instagram, though, is where we really get our word out there. And so we'll definitely do what we can to help you, man.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
All right. I guess we'll wrap it up here. We got another meeting, and then meetings, dude. I fucking hate meetings, and it seems like every day we have a fucking meeting. So,
As long as they're not like fucking safety meetings and fucking boring.
no, they're not. But sometimes when you have meetings, they're productive. But then at the end of the meeting, you're like, now I have like 15 things I got to do. Like that's not. So now every time I go into a meeting, I'm like, I know I'm going to come out of this meeting with more tasks, and then now I have to have more meetings to make these tasks happen. It's just like never ending cycle.
Hopefully you got a productive group though. Sometimes you get a meeting, you leave it with 15 tasks, you show back up to the meeting, you've done all 15 tasks, and everybody's like, oh no, we didn't get to it. Like, am I the only one fucking working on this shit?
Yeah, like you, man. We've surrounded ourselves with dudes, and me and Mike have been very fortunate with our broadcasts, and there's a lot of dudes that are fighting, cutting their teeth, trying to get it. So we bring them on as much as we can. We pay them what we can, and they contribute a lot. And a lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot, some people work for us for free. They're very blessed, and they believe in our show, and they try to help us out. They sometimes work harder than the people we pay. So it's a weird relationship we got with everybody, but we're growing, and I look forward to, like Mike said, working with you in the future. I think that would be super fun if we got to come out to Cali and set up a live show and do a live broadcast. Like we're going to Myrtle Beach right next month, and we're like, dude, let's just find a pub. You got any issues with a first responder night? Like, no? Like, all right, cool. We're gonna set up the 2 speakers. We're just gonna bring a bunch of dudes from this convention over and have a bunch of laughs. Like, usually you don't have a problem with that.
Hell yeah, dude. That sounds like a blast.
Yeah, it's been good. Yeah, we've done it a couple other places smaller, but this one should be bigger. But that's really the mission, is just get everybody together. That way we get guys like you recognition, everybody in this same type of like-minded, hardworking community of just doing good things for people is really what it's about. So that's our next venture, and so far it's going well. And you see we have a dedicated fan base that's amazing. So it's been going very well.
Hell yeah, dude. I'm happy for you guys, man. It's good to see it working.
All right, Michael. Well, stay safe out in Cali. I know you got the rest of your day ahead of you, and I'll be out there next week actually. So I'll hit you up in the email, see if you're busy. I'll be on Southern California.
Yeah, man. Hit me up. Go hang at one of these comedy clubs. Fuck, have a beer.
All right, man. Sounds good.
Later, guys. Appreciate you.
Later. Wow, man, that was a really good interview.
Yeah, he's a good dude, man. It's not, it's one of those things, like as a cop, you just meet somebody, and I hate that I'm so judgy, but you start talking to him, and immediately you're like, yeah, dude, this guy's cool as shit. I've had the same opposite opinion about some other people I've met right away. So that was a good one.
All
We have a meeting?
Well, yeah, we do. You don't know about it.
No, I don't.
Yeah, we have a meeting, by the way.
Thanks.
Liz coming in on the back end. Love your story. Thanks, Mike. Don't get sued. Oh, didn't get sued in Tyler. Absolutely, Liz. All right. Well, we'll be back. Oh, tomorrow's the flagship one, baby.
Tomorrow's in studio flagship, and then Tyler's
Big one.
hitting the road. So I'll be night shift tomorrow night. I'll be on remote on the Counterculture Network.
Oh, I thought you said CC was staying. What the hell?
No,
That's
week. Next week.
week.
You're
All right,
going.
you're on it. You're on it.
You're going longer than me, dude.
You're on it. All right.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Facebook, X, and of course YouTube. Thank you guys so much.
JV team for life.